Today's video is all about Pokemon card hits and are they getting worse? So that is the question we're going to explore. Are Pokemon card hits getting worse? We're into a new era and we have been for 10 months now, Scarlet and Violet era. But are Pokemon card hits getting worse? And we're also going to put, I suppose, the investing lens onto that question and explore, how it can affect our sealed investments and singles investments, particularly because we're looking at the top hits inside each set. Now, before we jump in and explore that question, if you haven't done so, please click the subscribe button. We're not going anywhere. The videos are going to keep coming out. And like I mentioned in the previous video, there's a members section. You just click on my profile and click join to become a member. If you do become a member, what it gives you access to is just shooting me an email. Just flick me an email, any questions you like, just include your YouTube handle in there so I know you're a member, and fire away. If you've got any questions or want some advice about, I suppose, a more detailed manner, shoot me an email and I'll get back to you if you're a member. Appreciate it. Anyway, moving on with the question at hand. Are Pokemon chase cards getting worse? And here's the data I want. Let's rewind back 2 years to 2021. Now, 2021 was a crazy good year. We had some ripper sets come out. We had sets like Chilling Reign. We had sets, Battle Styles wasn't a great set, but it had a couple of good hits inside it. We had sets like Evolving Skies and we had Fusion Strike. Like, it was just bang. Some really good sets with some really good chase cards. So what I want to do in this video is go through the last 3 years, so 2021, 22, and 23, explore the top hits from those, so top 10 hits from each 3 years, what the total price is, what the average price of the top 10 hits is, and let's see how it compares. Now, you could put a bit of an argument on here, and you could go, well, look, back in 2021, it's 2 years old now, cards have had time to mature. I suppose the counter argument to that point, that cards have had time to mature, is more and more products being opened, possible reprints have happened, and therefore more stock or more supply has come onto the market, and therefore we should see prices dip. Whereas you could argue 2023, sets are fresh, a lot of them have just come out. There's more possible reprints for these sets coming, so single prices on current ones could dip even lower. So I suppose there's two counter arguments in there, so just keep those in the back of your mind while we have a look at these. Anyway, let's start with 2021, right? And these are in no particular order. I'm not going to put the individual values of each card. I'm just going to tell you the top 10 chase cards from 2021 and the total value that these 10 add up to. So in Chilling Reign, we had the Blaziken VMAX, alt art. That is one hell of a nice looking card. We had the Moltres, again in an alt art. Moving forward to Evolving Skies, we of course had the Umbreon, which was the biggest chase card from Evolving Skies. We had the Rayquaza, the Leafeon, the Glaceon, the Sylveon, and the Dragonite. So Evolving Skies dominated 2021 in top chase cards, which we all knew. We know, like, Evolving Skies is bang or bust, which I like to compare something like Evolving Skies to the old, EX series sets. But the thing is, with EX series, the bang was the gold star, but there was still no bust because you got generally some really, some seeded EX cards per booster box and some sweet reverse holos, which can be worth lots of money. And that's the only shame about, I suppose, a set like Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike and Chilling Reign from 2021 is you could get a serious bang from opening the box, or you could get a serious bust. It's like there's nothing really in between, which is a bit of a shame. But anyway, the other top 2 out of the 10 chase cards from 2021 come from Fusion Strike in the Gengar VMAX, which is a cool looking card. And probably my favorite card from 2021, the Espeon VMAX, just the way that Espeon's, chilling up on the top of the house. It's a really nice looking chase card, that one. So total price from all 10 hits is, and these are just raw prices, US dollars, $1,962. Of course, you divide that by 10, we get an average price of $196.20. That's pretty strong, isn't it? Moving forward to 2022, right, we start to see a little bit of a dip. And here's what I mean. So from Brilliant Stars, we had Charizard V at $117. We had the Charizard V-Star. Moving forward to Astral Radiance, we had the Machamp V alt art. We had the Starmie V from the Trainer Gallery, which is holding strong in price. From Lost Origin, of course, we had cards like Giratina and the Aerodactyl. Giratina really holding a strong price. That artwork is absolutely amazing. Aerodactyl, also really cool artwork. From Silver Tempest, we had Lugia. a couple of Trainer Gallery cards, the Rayquaza VMAX from the Trainer Gallery in Silver Tempest, the Pikachu VMAX from the Trainer Gallery in Lost Origin, and bringing up the rear out of this top 10, which is actually not a heavy priced card, is Mewtwo V-Star from Pokemon Go, which is just under $30. So you can see straight away, 2022 did not have the heavy hitting chase cards as 2021. Yes, we had that Giratina, which is a beautiful card, and yes, we had that old art Charizard, but other than that, there's not a card that sits above $100. Oh, yeah, the Lugia, I think, just sits above $100, which, yeah, I suppose is a pretty heavy hitting. But if you compare it to 2021, it's not as strong a year. So total price of all 10 of those cards raw, US dollars, is $840. Divide that by 10, of course, gets us to an average of $84. Now, here's the confusing part. Let's fast forward to 2023, so the third year to compare. So we've gone from an average in 2021 of $196 for the top 10 chase cards to $84 in 2022. And where do we sit in 2023? Now, I excluded Crown Zenith only because it sits in that real awkward spot, right? It's the last Sword and Shield set. And I just wanted to say, though, the top 3 chase cards, okay, they average out to about $56, the top 3 chase cards from Crown Zenith. Okay, the Giratina V-Star, the Arceus V-Star, and the Mewtwo V-Star alt art card. Would that affect 2023's pricing? Only by... I worked it out, so I'll tell you at the end, but I've excluded Crown Zenith only because I wanted to really, show 2023 as the start of the Scarlet and Violet era. So if we look at the top 10 cards from Scarlet and Violet, right? So we got Paldea Evolve. Nothing from base set makes the top 10, by the way. We got Paldea Evolve, the Magikarp, of course. Both Ionos, as in the standard one and the secret art rare or special art rare. From Obsidian Flames, the only card to make the list is that Charizard SAR. Which is, that's tanking fast if you've seen prices. And I did call that, mind you. Heaps from 151. We have the Charizard from 151. We have the Blastoise from 151. We have the Venusaur from 151. We have the Zapdos from 151. And then a couple of freshies from the latest set, Paradox Rift, in that Roaring Moon, old art, or special illustration rare, I should say, and the Iron Valiant special illustration rare. So keep in mind, like I said at the start of this video, though, if we get multiple reprints of 151, if we get multiple reprints of Paradox Rift, those prices are going to drop. So at the moment, those top 10 cards add up to $620. So we have an average pool price from top 10 pools from 2023 of $62. Now, I did mention if I added Crown Zenith, so the only thing we would replace it with is the top 3 from Crown Zenith. The Giratina V-Star, the Arceus V-Star, and the Mewtwo V-Star, it would bring that average for 2023 up to about $63.50. So it barely changes the average. That's why I just wanted to focus on Scarlet and Violet, right? So top 10 from Scarlet and Violet so far, $62. So this brings the question up, okay, which is the whole question at the start of this video. Are our chase cards getting worse? What factors come into play with that? A lot of people would argue pull rates have gotten better. So there's more supply of cards coming into the market. Typically, the best example of that is that Charizard special art rare from Obsidian Flames. So pull rates are getting better. I think we've been stuck on this absolute high of these alt arts in this ethereal environment. The Pokemon just look amazing. I'm not saying the artwork isn't amazing from Scarlet and Violet, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't give the same feel as what the alt arts from Sword and Shield era sort of put down. Now, in its defense, Scarlet and Violet, right? In its defense, if we rewind the clock back to 2020 and look at the first 4 sets from Sword and Shield era, its average is lower than the first sets from Scarlet and Violet. So has Scarlet and Violet's first year on the market performed better than Sword and Shield's first year on the market? Yes, it has, in terms of pools and average pool price. It doesn't keep going that way. Like if we rewind to 2019, though, we get the final Sun and Moon sets, and what a year 2019 was. We had Hidden Fates, we had Cosmic Eclipse, we had Unbroken Bonds, we had Unified Minds, we had Team Up. Like, that is the best year, I think, of Pokemon cards in a long, long time. So it's not like if you keep rewinding the clock, the average pool price gets worse. That's not the case at all. But I don't know, like, what do you guys think? I suppose I've got my position on it, and that's my position. It just doesn't have that same amazing feel to the cards. Like you pull that chase and you're just like, yeah, it's cool, but it doesn't give you the feel of pulling a Gengar VMAX or an Espeon VMAX from Fusion Strike or a Blaziken from Chilling Reign or the Moltres from Chilling Reign or a Rayquaza or a Leafeon or Glaceon or Sylvanite or Dragonite or Umbreon from Evolving Skies or even the Charizard V Old Art or the Lugia V Old Art. It doesn't get that same amazing feel to it for me. And so maybe that's one reason, the feel behind it, the market sentiment, so to speak, because that's going to talk when it comes to pricing on it. The pull rates comes into play. Supply, is it just like, are the printers at an all-time high? Is it to do, and I've done a video on this, is it to do with card quality? Like are raw cards a little bit off center or maybe got a few factory nicks? And if you're buying a top chase card from a set, you're really going to want some quality photos of it. So are we getting less mint copies, so to speak, coming onto the market and people are therefore paying a bit less for it? So there's a lot of factors that come into play, but from the last 3 years, the Scarlet and Violet first year on the market, this has been the worst year when it comes to pull rates. The worst year when it comes to outright pricing for the top chase cards, which is a bit of a shame. And also, like I said before, you've got to remember a lot of these sets are going to be reprinted. Like I think you're going to have to be living under a rock to think sets like Obsidian Flames aren't still printing. Sets like 151 isn't going to get reprinted. Paradox Rift is extremely likely to get a reprint, and we can see what happened when Scarlet and Violet Base got a reprint. Look at singles prices now. They are absolutely nowhere. So it's very likely that if I were to do this video again in a year's time and compare top 10 from 2023, we could be down at an average of $40 rather than $62. Crazy, isn't it? So I guess that sort of sums up the video. I've thrown around a lot of thoughts. To finalize the video, what does this mean from an investment standpoint? Well, I suppose if we put our investment lens on when it comes to singles, I've said this a few times in lots of bits of advice, is wait for the absolute dip. And even looking at some of these 2021 and 2022 chase cards from Sword and Shield era, a lot of them are still dipped this year, a year later, or 2 years later, and they're only just starting to uptick again. Like the Umbreon VMAX is just starting from Evolving Skies, is just starting to uptick again a little bit. So when it comes to worrying about buying the chase cards and getting them at the best price and FOMOing on them, I think you got to time it. Like, don't stress about getting them now. I can guarantee a Roaring Moon from Paradox Rift will get cheaper. Even the Obsidian Flames Charizard Special Art Rare will get cheaper. I think it's at about what is it at the moment? $57 or something. It'll be a $40 card. I can't see it not being a $40 card. It will get down to that. It'll keep getting printed. It'll keep getting open. The pull rates are too easy on it. It'll get down to a $40 card. So that's what I think for singles. You've just got to time it if you want to invest in singles. Singles are a lot more volatile, I'll always say. And when it comes to the sealed price and sealed investing, you know my take on that. I've said it 100 times. It's really the same as, wait for that dip. And it's typically that 3 to 9 month window after a set's been printed that we start seeing the sealed product, whether it's an ETB or a booster box, sort of at its all-time low, because new sets are coming out. Attention has been directed towards new sets, and if there's heaps of supply still left over or reprints of old sets and there's more supply hitting the market and there's just not enough attention or demand on that set, then obviously stores will need to discount it to move it. It's just like old stock. We all do it in every sales industry. So that's my take on it. Hopefully you got something out of this video. I'm Michael. This is Pokey Oz. I'll catch everyone next time.